Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sincerely Self Podcast. First things first, my name is Lexi, but also this is Ghost. Okay, if you're watching the YouTube, you can see my little kitty, and he's a little stinker. So if you happen to hear a bell or a meow or anything along those lines, it's Ghost. Okay, so just letting you guys know. Also, my hair looks kind of like I got electrocuted, but my hair is greasy, so I tried out this headband and I have pieces sticking straight up, but it's okay. If you don't love my hair, I don't either, but my hair is greasy, so we're making do. I hope everyone had a fabulous week last week. One of my very best friends in the world got married over the weekend, and yeah, that's why there was no episode. If you followed Instagram, I posted a little clip from her wedding, their exit, I guess, and it was amazing. A very busy week though. And yeah, you guys, my little pieces of hair that are sticking up straight, please, can we just all pretend that they're not there? This week, let's think what's new. Ghost is new. You guys don't know him. And I tried to do a 3-day fast. The last 3 days, a bone broth fast, so a little bit different. I was only doing bone broth and water. I have never fasted for more than a day, but the goal of it was to kind of help the inflammation in my body. And I made it. Today was day 3, and this morning I woke up and my blood sugar was super low. I literally thought I was going to die. I couldn't move. I felt like I had the flu. That's how I felt because I, wasn't having enough electrolytes or anything like that. So I drank an electrolyte drink and I ate some cherries and kind of broke my fast, but I listened to my body. So I guess this is the point of this. Am I going to try fasting again? Yes. But I'm going to be more prepared and also have some sort of electrolyte that I am putting into my body so that this type of thing doesn't happen again. But you live and you learn. You live and you learn. The episode today I'm so excited for. I have an episode kind of on this, but it was a while ago, and honestly, this is something that I have been struggling so much with planning my wedding, okay? I have been struggling with this specific thing so much, and so I've been diving into it more, and I feel like it is the perfect time. Sorry, my fan is blowing in my hair. So I feel like it is the perfect time to revisit this topic. Today, we're going to be diving into people pleasing and overall just worrying too much about what other people think about your decisions and your life and so on and so forth. So the first thing that I want to cover with this topic is I feel like more people struggle with this than we think. I think people pleasing is something that is ingrained in a lot of us that are very empathetic, and in some ways, being very aware of other people's feelings and emotions can be very, very good and very, very helpful. But in other ways, it can accidentally hold us back, if you know what I mean. And so for me specifically, with planning my wedding, I have been worrying so much, and I didn't even really realize I was doing this until my fiance brought it to my attention. I've been stressing more about other people than me and my fiance feeling special at my wedding. I've been stressing more about making sure that everybody in my family feels, special at my day, making sure everything goes smoothly for the bridal parties and everything like that, which I do still think is important. But I have been trying to do these things at the expense of myself, and I didn't really realize it. I literally didn't recognize it, you guys. What kind of podcast host am I? You know what I mean? But yeah, my fiance kind of brought it to my attention and was like, listen, you are worrying too much about what they might think about your day. And that kind of clicked with me, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is something that I've struggled with my whole life. I think a lot of us who are listening to this episode can probably relate to the fact that it's an ongoing thing that kind of starts in childhood, of course, of feeling the need to monitor the moods of those around you and help keep them happy at all costs, at all expenses, right? And also worrying so much about negative feedback from getting it a lot as a kid, you stress about what other people might think about what you're doing, if they'll like it, if they won't like it, because that rejection is so fresh in your brain, and that the fear of being rejected. And I've had to face this a couple times in my life. The first time is, and this circumstance I'm going to talk about first, is finding out that people don't like you, or finding out that people don't agree with something that you are doing or want to do. You can, in the way I see it, you have two choices. You can choose to do what is the easiest for everyone else, or you can choose to do what you feel drawn to do and what is going to benefit you. Of course, I think it is important to take other people's comments into consideration, but there's a difference between taking what people say into consideration when you're making a decision and making your decision based off of what they say. You know what I mean? The decision is yours in what you do with your life and what you do with your time. The song Matilda by Harry Styles has always been one that just like resonates so heavily with me. And I think with a lot of people who are prone to be people pleasers and are very empathetic, you start to feel very alone when you're catering so much to those around you. And though it is a very good trait to have a lot of feelings and to feel things so deeply, at least for me, I felt very ashamed of that my whole life, being so emotional. But I just want to remind you, if you're someone who's very emotional, that means you feel happy emotions more than other people. That means you love deeper than other people can even fathom. You have this power in you to be able to pick up on how other people are feeling, but at the same sense, be able to express love to people in a way that they've never felt before. And it is a superpower, but it is also something that is very hard. And as I've gotten older, I've tried to accept it more and accept that this is who I am and find ways to show up with it in the best way that I can. And so taking other people's opinions and comments into consideration means that you are not going to make your decision or change who you are or what you're doing just because you think, well, they're going to be mad at me, or they're upset with what I'm doing, or they're, this and that. Their feelings when it comes to a decision in your life that does not affect them at all, the last thing you should be worrying about is their feelings, honestly. If it's a situation that applies to them and they will be directly affected, absolutely, you need to take their feelings into accountability, okay? But if it has absolutely nothing to do with them, absolutely nothing, you don't want to care. It's just you're taking in someone else's feelings more than your own. And I've had to take a step back, and I recommend, if you're kind of having that moment or you're in this type of situation where you're like, okay, this doesn't directly affect this person in my life or this group of people in my life, but they are very opinionated on it and I feel differently than they do. What do I do? And it's choose yourself. It's choose what you want to do, because the people who really support you are going to stand by you even if maybe they don't agree with what you're doing. And they're also not going to get mad at you for making a decision that you feel like is right for you. And I feel like when you stop people pleasing, that's kind of when you figure out your radar for people who are there for you and people who were in your life because you used to be a pushover and they benefited from that. Honestly, point blank period. You will be able to see the people in your life that maybe don't appreciate you in the way that you deserve or don't take you into accountability at all, ever. Something that's kind of hard is realizing that some people in your life don't care as much as you do. And when you're someone who cares a lot and has very deep feelings, that is prone to happen. The next step is you choose like how much boundaries you want to set up with these people in your life and where you want to kind of draw that line that keeps you safe. It's not always realistic to completely cut people off, like family and things like that. Sometimes you genuinely can't, but you can set boundaries so that you can have more of a healthy relationship where you are able to kind of protect your peace. And sometimes that really changes the entire dynamic of the relationship and how that person shows up for you when you're able to put your foot down. Okay, the next aspect of this that I want to talk about is when people don't like you. Oh, it is kind of a punch in the gut when people do not like you and you hear that people don't like you, or you hear people talking about false narratives of you or, talking bad about you. It really is a humbling experience, especially when you are a people pleaser. It literally is like the worst thing on planet Earth for people to not like you, it feels like so personal. I can't explain it. I have felt it. So that's why I'm talking on this. And the situation that I went through, I just kind of decided like, okay, I can focus so much on these people who really truly don't know me. They really don't know me. They know me from things that they've heard about me. They don't actually know me. So I'm not going to take into account what they think about me. Or another thing, and I've talked about this a few times, but if somebody doesn't like you and actively talks bad about you, but you would not want to be where they're at or do what they're doing, like you would not trade lives with them, then you should not care about what they think about you. If you would not want to do what they're doing and you don't look up to them in any type of way, you should not care what they think about you. And I will tell you, 99% of the time, the people that you run into that have these certain opinions on you, it's people that you're like, oh yeah, roles reversed, I would never, absolutely never want to be you or live your life. Okay? Most of the time when people have extreme criticisms, it's one of two things. It's an insecurity that they're kind of pushing onto other people, or it's hitting close to them for an experience that they had, and they're trying to protect you. They have your best interest in mind, but they are projecting their experience onto you. People's opinions that don't agree with you on like your situations, they are trying to have your best interest in mind. I'm going to tell you guys a few things that helped me and have been helping me in my people-pleasing journey. First thing would be journaling. Writing down, okay, if there's a situation in my life that is kind of stressing me out and I'm not sure what to do with it, I'm going to write it down in my journal. Every single thing I think about it. Sometimes I feel like people think journaling is like finding a prompt and like answering a specific question, but it is just writing out what's happening. For me, literally writing out situations helps me so much, because sometimes you want to vent to people, but then it ends up just stressing you out a little bit more. So for me, journaling, I see it. I'm able to read it and see it kind of from a different point of view, almost as if I was like reading a book, and it can kind of help me form an opinion on the situation that's not so biased when I see it all written out. And it also just kind of takes it off of your chest. Like it literally feels relieving. And it helps you see like how you might be a people pleaser in this situation, and help you realize, okay, I actually need to put my foot down there, or I actually need to stand up for myself in this situation, and this isn't okay what's happening. But when we're just repeating things in our head, it's a little bit harder to see the full picture. So journaling, writing things down, also becoming more comfortable with setting boundaries. I think it's not about what you say. I think it's about how you say it, and tone is so important. I actually have an episode coming out with somebody that talks a lot about tone and the presentation of your words, moreover than what you say. Sometimes we say things and we mean it in one way, but our tone comes off another way. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you. And I'm sorry that happened to you. There's different ways that we can say things, and it'll be taken two completely different ways. You know what I mean? So setting your boundary, it can be extreme, like very aggressive, very stern voice, and it can just be firm and calm. Like there doesn't need to be an escalation of the situation. And if the other person starts escalating the situation, then that's your cue to leave. Then that's your cue to be like, hey, it seems like you might need some space for a second, so I'm going to give you some space and we can revisit this conversation, because I do want to have this with you, but I don't want to argue. And that is the clearest way to communicate with somebody that, hey, I'm trying to communicate something with you, but I'm not going to argue. And if you want to continue this conversation, then we're going to sit down and have a civil conversation. Because if you try and have it and they're just getting more escalated and more escalated and more escalated, you're going to get escalated, and the situation is just going to get a lot bigger than it needs to be. So setting boundaries with people. I've talked about the boundary house before, but it's just people that you would have in your kitchen, in your living room, like right in your main circle. People that you would have on your front porch. People that are friends, but not super close. They don't know everything about you. And then people who are in your front yard. People that you see every once in a while. You grab lunch or breakfast like once every few months. And then there's people that are like not allowed on your property, and those are people that you do not speak to. And there's a lot of boundaries you can set with people, and distances that you can put with people that still keep them in your life, but in a healthier way. Sometimes the thing that's wrong with our relationships is that we're seeing people too much and that we're having too much of people, when sometimes some relationships, friendships, platonic, whatever it may be, some relationships thrive off of having a little bit of space, honestly. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's important to try and take those steps before you just immediately cut somebody off, unless they have specifically like disrespected your boundaries and you can tell they just really don't care about how you feel. Those are the times when I would say, hey, how much is this relationship benefiting you? How much is this person's opinion of your life benefiting you? Because if it's only stressing you out, then this is not something that you want to deal with. This is not something that you want in your life. And there's better people, there's better opportunities, there's better ways that you could be spending your time. The last thing that I think is probably most important in healing people-pleasing tendencies is to realize who you are and become very secure in your sense of self, because the more that you know yourself, the more that you're going to recognize when you're being disrespected, and the less that you're going to care about what other people's opinions and what other people think about your life. The more in tune with yourself you are, the more you're going to, those type of things are going to click and you're going to see those things immediately. So that is the biggest tip, is to learn who you are. Dive into the hobbies that you like to do. I think sometimes it gets glamorized on social media to just, I wish we all could just go throughout our day and just only do the things that we want to do, but a lot of us have to work a lot of the time. Try and make time in your day. I talk with this in my last episode with Wendy and Crystal, the serendipitous rebel. If you are somebody who feels like you're getting really burnt out and you're in fight or flight literally all the time and just in autopilot through life, just going to work, waking up, going to work, going to sleep, that's literally all you do, and you don't feel satisfied in it, go listen to my last episode with Wendy and Crystal, Serendipitous Rebel. It'll change your life. But that is something that we kind of talked about, is it's okay. Like, girl, keep your job. You know what I mean? You can still have things in your day and in your life that nourish your soul and nourish your personality. So if you love to draw and you love to color and do art, then make sure you have at least 10 to 15 minutes in your day, minimum, that you can just do that. Whether it's right before you go to bed, whether you're waking up a little bit early, find time to do the things that you actually enjoy. And your day won't feel so dreadful. Your day won't feel like it's dragging on as much when you have things that are nourishing you and actually keeping you happy. If you love to cook, then cook yourself a dinner every night. There are little things that you can do that will just make your day feel so much lighter. And I feel like the more that you embrace the things that you love and the things that make you who you are, the more you kind of realize who you are. Like, I'm somebody who is emotional, but I also am very passionate about the things that I love, and I love to do art, and I love to listen to music, and maybe cleaning relaxes you. Honestly, cleaning helps me calm down so much. Cleaning and putting on a podcast, absolutely. That's like my weekend ritual. So if that's something that you feel like you resonate with, find a good podcast. It doesn't have to be Sincerely Self, but it does help. It does help. Hey, I've been listening to Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. You guys know I love that book. And I've been listening to the audiobook lately because I talked about it in my last solo episode and I haven't read it in a while. But I also love listening to Mel Robbins' podcast. I love Jay Shetty's podcast. I love the Manifesting Bestie podcast. She's amazing. I think for me, one of the easiest things to do is, if I'm struggling in a situation, to see like if I'm being a people pleaser or if I'm putting other people's, over myself. I think if it was my mom or my sisters or my best friends in this same situation, what would I tell them? And 99% of the time we're going to tell them, oh, like, this is not a good situation. Like, this person is not appreciating you. But it's so much harder to see when it's us. So that's another thing that you guys can try if you're struggling with people pleasing or even just trying to figure out what to do in a situation. Reverse the roles with somebody that you really, really care about, and you would never want them to be in that situation. You would never want them to be treated that way. And until you are able to appreciate and respect yourself, the easiest thing to do is think of somebody else that you love. As I'm going to end the episode here, I just want to close this episode out by saying, having deep feelings and feeling things deeply is not a bad thing. And I think a lot of people who are people pleasers have been taught or have, made themselves believe that they're feeling things deeply is like a bad thing. And it is not a bad thing. It can be such an amazing thing in your life, but it's just learning to appreciate yourself, and it's learning to respect yourself. And I want to remind you guys that you are worthy of being respected. You're worthy of your opinion being valuable. Your opinion is valuable. You're worthy of your decisions being valuable. You are a very special person. Nobody can replicate you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you go and check out the YouTube. The YouTube is where it's popping, honestly. I have been so bad with posting episode clips. I really have been terrible with it. So the YouTube is the place to really catch the video version of the episode. But if you guys want to, you can go follow me on TikTok, Instagram. I might do a TikTok live this week because why the heck not? Why the heck not? I might do it on my personal TikTok, which is, I believe it's just Lex Benitez, but it's linked in the description down below if you want to go check it out instead of just the Sincerely Self podcast one. Yeah. What a crazy, crazy time, you guys. The next couple weeks are going to be solo episodes. I've just been really feeling drawn to toning back the guests a little bit and bringing back a little bit more of the solo episodes. So we do have some amazing guests coming up in the future in the next few months, but I have decided instead of doing a guest every other week, I want to do more solo episodes, maybe like 2 or 3 and then a guest episode, just to keep it balanced, just to keep it fun, just to keep it light. And I miss I guess being able to show you guys who I am and my personality and tell my stories and be able to just reconnect with you guys, because when Sincerely Self first started, it was only me. And so if you're an OG, you know that it was always just me yapping. And though I do love our guests, I miss just us talking and chatting. And yeah, I feel like the solo episodes are good to just throw on. I want it to feel like you're FaceTiming an older sister. Honestly, that's what I want it to feel like. I want it to feel like you're benefiting from it. I want it to feel like after you listen to this podcast, you feel heard, you feel nourished, and you feel more secure in your decisions and what you want to do, and you feel more valuable. I really hope that's what everyone walks away with when they stop listening to a Sincerely Self podcast episode. I just want you guys to feel heard and seen, and pretend this is a FaceTime if you want. I don't care. You should. I love you guys, and I will see you solo episode next week.